It's been less than a week since the controversy of Roe v. Wade has been overturned by the Supreme Court, and voices have been articulated by members of the Jewish community, articulating positions that are the opposite of the position of the Torah. I don't need to make it clear, but I have to make it clear that abortion is equal to murder in most cases. I say in most cases because it's only justified to save the life of the mother, at which point it isn't murder. The fetus is considered a rodef, a pursuer trying to kill an innocent victim. And the fetus has no status as a full life, and therefore the life of the mother supersedes that of the fetus. There are different stages at which, under certain circumstances, abortion can be made permitted when there is questions of health of the mother, or there was rape or incest, and this depends upon the position of Rabbi Eliezer Waldenberg and the Tzitz Eliezer. But except in rare cases, abortion is partial murder. And depending upon how far along the child has progressed, it becomes more and more of a murder. Lest you say, well, if it's only a partial murder, then it's okay. It's not okay. The Torah is a holy document. All the commandments of the Torah are obligations for the Jewish people to perform, and some of the commandments of the Torah are for the entire world to perform. A person who violates the Sabbath is tantamount to an idolater. He has the same status as an idolater. He has no standing in the community. Of course, nowadays, because people poo-poo the religion and have been taught by people that it's okay, so it's not the same violation as it were, say, 100 years ago or 200 years ago. But someone who violates the Shabbos loses his standing in the Jewish community. A person who violates the Shabbos willfully would not get an aliyah, would not be called to the Torah reading. We wouldn't believe things that he says, etc., etc. Violating the Sabbath is akin to violating one of the most sacred tenets of the Jewish people. You may violate the Sabbath to save a fetus. So a fetus is more important than the Sabbath, more important than Yom Kippur. If the woman giving birth needs to eat and there's nothing to eat but something that's not kosher, she's permitted to eat non-kosher. So the saving of a fetus supersedes most of our sacred ideals. Therefore, just as we are forbidden to desecrate the Sabbath, we're forbidden to eat non-kosher, we're forbidden to desecrate Yom Kippur, how much more so we're forbidden to do away with the life of a fetus. Under no circumstances, except to save the mother's life, is one supposed to engage in an abortion. There are certain circumstances where certain rabbis will permit abortion if it was a product of incest, rape, where the girl is underage and was embarrassed, etc., etc. All of those conditions, those are very rare conditions, but when they exist, there are permissions up to a certain point. But once you get past that point, once the fetus is viable, ending the life of the fetus, except to save the mother, is a murder of sorts. Just because it's not a capital crime does not make it permissible. And any so-called rabbi who says that it's permissible till the baby takes a breath is not a rabbi and is totally ignorant of Torah. And I underscore this. Anyone who says that until the baby is born it's permissible to abort is not a rabbi and is ignorant of Torah, unless it is to save the life of the mother. At which point it becomes permitted to kill the fetus to save the mother. But it's still killing. It would be the same as if you're on a boat and somebody's coming on the boat and will sink the boat unless you kill that person. That person doesn't want to die. But if you leave that person hanging onto the boat will sink, and whoever is in that boat will die with it. That person is called a rodef. You're allowed to kill that person because he is trying to kill someone else. Is that a good thing to do? Is that something that I should be happy with? Of course not. We're never happy at ending somebody's life, especially if he has no intention to kill. He's just causing somebody else's death. That's what a fetus is. Fetus will cause the mother's death if there are complications. Fetus is not guilty of anything. Fetus just wants to live. Aborting the fetus is killing it. But the mother's life supersedes it. So, for all of you out there that are Jewish, abortion is tantamount to murder. It's not murder in the nth degree, but it's murder. So what are you supposed to do about it? Follow the Torah. Human sexuality should be within the context of marriage. I know that sounds quaint and Puritan and not modern, but it does give the mother, and it does give society the best chance of survival. Let me explain. The Holocaust began when? Holocaust began Kristallnacht, 1938. No, the Holocaust began earlier. There was Jews that were put into concentration camps way before 1933, 34. But you can trace the Holocaust, I think, 1936. It might be 35, but I believe 36 was the year. When the German society decided, when the Nazis decided to kill all of those children who weren't completely well developed, retarded children, those with extreme emotional issues that had to be institutionalized, all of them were killed. About 100,000 of them were killed. There are pictures of them being killed by these very pretty blonde nurses. It's not how pretty you are, but how compassionate you are that makes you a human being. racial theory notwithstanding, what makes a human being is how much love and compassion you have for others. Those children were the beginning of the Holocaust. Because when you are willing to kill your own, murder your own for no reason, it's only a small step to be willing to kill somebody else's. If you're cold to killing your children, you will be cold to killing other people's children, whether they're adult, fetuses, babies, or the elderly. This is the reality. Leftist ideology, which wants the permission of abortion on demand, is every bit as evil, theoretically, but it's every bit as evil as fascist ideology, as racist ideology, because it relegates one person to be less of a person than another. The fetus that is aborted can easily be adopted, can easily survive. Cuomo, Governor Cuomo, yeah, but I call him Cuomo, celebrated when they permitted abortion up until right before the baby was born, to the last minute. What kind of a celebration is this? That child can be saved. Even after 5 months, those children can be saved. Those are children. They're not blobs. They have feelings. And that's clear, notwithstanding Justice Sotomayor or Kagan. The fetuses have feelings. The fetuses are affected by the moods of the parent. The fetus is affected by good music. The fetus is a life that's developing. It's a partial life, but a life nonetheless. How could you be cruel to a life because you think it's inconvenient? If you believe that life can be ended because it's inconvenient, you'll have no problem ending my life. I'm just an old man. And I think differently from you. You'd rather have me dead. Oh, no. Yes, that's exactly where you are. The left does not tolerate anyone who disagrees with them. It is a religion that is absolute, that you cannot question. Why can't you question it? Because the minute you question it, it falls apart. Therefore, as a defense mechanism, leftists do not allow discussion of their values. Abortion, my Jewish friends and my non-Jewish friends, is murder. Legalized murder, but murder nonetheless. And when you permit murder for any reason, you'll permit the murder of anyone under any circumstances. It's just a hair's breadth away. There is no difference between leftist ideology and Hitlerian ideology. The only difference is the name, the label that you give it. When life is good only according to your definition, you can define anyone who disagrees with you, anyone who's different from you, to find that out of life. When Bill Maher was happy over the death of Rush Limbaugh and hoped that he, might have been Rush Limbaugh or somebody else, hoped that he was having terrible pain in hell because he did not support the movement for global warming, for attacking global warming. He was articulating the true feelings of the left ideology. Left ideology is intolerant and doesn't care about other people if they disagree with them. Leftists are totalitarians, leftists are despots, and leftists believe that murder can be legalized. I don't believe murder can be legalized. I always opposed abortion before I became a rabbi. Now that I'm a rabbi, of course I oppose abortion, except to save the mother's life, at which point it's still killing, but it's not unjustified.